It's Any Answers with Anita Anand. Your chance to phone, email, tweet or text her your thoughts about any questions.
Thank you very much indeed, and welcome to this week's Any Answers. So the topics discussed by Sean Lay's panel in Cleveland this week included whether a private school education better and unfairly prepares competitors for Olympics gold, whether holding the Olympics here in the UK is in fact bad for business, what benefits, if any, would last after the last podium is vacated, if the UK has a moral obligation to intervene in Syria, and whether the shelving of Lord's reform might be the government's next U-turn. What would that mean for the coalition? The number as ever is 03700 100 444. You can email any.answers@bbc.co.uk. Text us on 84844. Remember, standard networks rates do apply. And for those of you joining us on Twitter, welcome. Please use the hashtag BBCAQ. Now, since it is Super Saturday, many of you, I suppose we shouldn't be surprised, want to get off the blocks with questions about the Olympics. So there are two to consider today. One, the issue of legacy. What will the Olympics leave us here in the UK? And the second, of privilege. And I think that has actually attracted the most attention. So why don't we start there? The question was, do too many of our best sportsmen and women succeed because of privileged backgrounds and education? Morden, let's speak to Martin Langley, who's calling from Isleworth. Hello there, Martin.
Hi. Yes, I'm going to take the deeply heretical position of sticking up for mediocrity. I'm marginally interested in the Olympics, but I'm quite sure that along with a lot of people that come next Tuesday or Wednesday, I'll have heard about enough about how truly magnificent and quite superb it all is. I mix with a number of sporty and excellent sporty people in the gyms that I go to and elsewhere. And my experience of top athletes is that they oscillate between a position of desperate anxiety and intrusive iron discipline that takes their lives over completely. To the extent that state school pupils should really be grateful for being spared the treadmill of excellence, which is inflicted on the privately educated.
Are you being contentious because you're in a naughty mood today, or you really believe that actually this everybody must win attitude that was discussed by our last caller is actually beneficial to their psyche, if you like?
The question is both. I'm in a naughty mood as usual, and I really believe what I am telling you. And to the extent that the state school pupils should be grateful for the opportunity to live their own lives in their own way and not be expected to conform to other people's standards which are rammed down their throat whether they like it or not.
Okay, well, it's just last point to you from one of the people who's tweeted into the programme. It's from Othery Gray, who says, look, this needs to start, this attitude of winning needs to start before school. None of this everyone is a winner nonsense, writes Ossory. As in life, there are winners and losers, and school sports needs to take that into consideration because competing is healthy, both physically and mentally.
To which my reply is I quote the example of an unfortunate black woman at the Atlanta Olympics who ran a heat with her legs strapped up from top to bottom because she had a thigh injury. She couldn't respond to the questions afterwards because the poor woman was in such dreadful agony.
Martin, thank you very much for your call. I'm sure that's going to provoke quite a lot of response. Let me just read a couple more of the tweets and emails to you. Oliver's been in touch with the programme. He says, look, at least there is sport at school in Great Britain. We're living in France. You have to put your children into clubs to get any sport at all. It's a nightmare. Another one here from Ian, who says primary schools just can't introduce children to sports if they don't have the facilities. For example, you can't teach tennis without tennis courts. Let's go to Mary Kemp, who's calling from Cornwall. Good afternoon, Mary.
Oh, hello.
Hello.
Yes. I'd like to make a comment about the sports side, please.
Please do.
Schools, I think schools, we live in, Cornwall's supposed to be the poorest area of England, and we have a very, very strong school here. It's a state school. One of your panellists said about about the arts, and head teachers have got to choose between the 3 R's or arts, then they'll always choose the 3 R's. Well, our comprehensive school, our state's comprehensive school in the village, is Ofsted Outstanding. It's a performing arts school, strong music school, brilliant headmaster, and strong sports department, but we've also got cricket clubs, football clubs in the village, and that's where I think the sport should come from, fed through from local levels. We've got two two youngsters locally who play for Cornwall, and coaches, local members of the cricket club who've taken level 3 coaching courses and work with 50 or more children every week. That's where they should be fed through from.
So, are you taking the big society view, as it were, that actually, look, schools can't afford everything, so let's not expect them to afford everything?
Life does not stop in London. All of our far-flung communities, of which we are very far-flung, we're at the bottom of Cornwall, really, we've been working the big society for years. We look after our own communities, and if every community did that, this country would be a much better place. And as the cutbacks get deeper and deeper, communities, and when you do take care of your community yourself, you bond together as a community. We work with the schools, they work with our community. It's a brilliant way of life.
Okay.
Private schools, I don't think they've got the monopoly at all. They can't have. I mean, we've got an outstanding school.
Well, yeah, I mean, yes. But if you look at the medals distribution, Lord Moynihan's not talking in a vacuum here. Just looking at it, and as I said again, we don't know exactly what the results are going to be this year. Fingers crossed they're going to be outstanding. But if we look at Beijing, is it right that more than 50% of those people who got medals at Beijing came from a privately educated background? Is that instructive in any way to you at all? And what do we take from that?
I don't know really, and I don't know that will be forever. I personally think that these Olympics are probably being played in the poorest spirit that I've ever known an Olympics to be played. It seems to be there's an element there that says if we can't win, we'll stop someone else from winning,
okay.
and that's not how the Olympics or any sport should be played.
Mary, thank you very much for your call.